The entire argument begins with a mistake, a loud one, a confident one, but still a mistake. Why does the Qur'an say he for God? Doesn't that make God male? That question only works if the world speaks English. But it doesn't. And the Qur'an certainly doesn't. English traps everything into 3 boxes: he, she, it. Pick one. He, accused of being male. She, now you've assigned gender anyway. It, now God is an object, a thing. Every option fails, every single one. So the language itself collapses under the weight of the divine. Now, step outside that system. Arabic doesn't even have this third option. There is no it, only huwa and hiya. And here's where the illusion shatters. The assumption that he equals male is being forcefully imported into Arabic. But Arabic never made that claim. In Arabic, masculine is not male. It is the default grammatical state, the starting point, the unmarked form, the baseline of the language. And here is the rule they keep missing, the rule that breaks the entire argument. The masculine form is the default, used when something is male, used when the gender is unknown, and it remains in place, even when gender does not apply at all. Read that again. Male, masculine, unknown, masculine. Beyond gender entirely, still masculine. Not because everything is male, but because the language starts there and only moves when forced to. Everything stays there until there is a reason to move away from it. So when the Qur'an says huwa, it is not saying God is male. It is saying this is the default, unrestricted form, free of added markings. Now, flip it. If the feminine form had been used, that would be a shift, a departure, a deliberate marking. That would actually introduce limitation. But the Qur'an doesn't do that. It remains in the default. And suddenly, the problem disappears, not solved. The problem never existed. It was manufactured by forcing one language's rules onto another. Now listen carefully. This is where it becomes undeniable. In Urdu, imagine a room. No one is visible, only a sound. Someone is eating. You don't know who. Male, female, no clue. What do you say? Ye yahan kaun kya kha raha hai? Not, kha rahi hai? Even though it might turn out to be a girl. Why? Because the rule already decided. Default first, clarification later. Did the sentence just assign masculinity to her? Did it transform her into a male? Of course not. The language defaulted. It stayed in its base form until evidence demanded otherwise. That's how the system works. Now bring in the final distinction, the one that ends the debate. That sentence, raha hai, is waiting for correction. But this, Allah farmata hai, is not waiting. It will never become farmati hai. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. Because this is not unknown. This is non-applicable. There is no hidden gender to uncover, no moment of correction. So the language stays permanently in its default. This is how entire linguistic worlds operate. So what exactly is happening in this argument? A very specific worldview, built on the limitations of English, is being projected onto languages that don't share those limits. And then, when the fit feels wrong, the accusation is made. there's a problem in the text. No, the problem is the lens. For over 1,400 years, the original audience of the Qur'an, people who actually spoke the language, never stumbled over this. Not even the pagan Arabs. They didn't sit there wondering, is God male? Because they understood something fundamental. Grammar is not biology. Structure is not identity. But today, the confusion appears. Not because the words changed, but because the framework did. In English, a boy is male, but a tree is reduced to an it, a rigid split, a blunt classification, a language that flattens everything into objects or gendered humans. Step out of English, and the illusion fractures immediately. In Arabic, the same tree, shajaratun, is grammatically feminine. Not because the tree is female, but because Arabic assigns grammatical gender, not biological identity. Now come to Pakistan. In Pashto, the same tree, called una, is feminine. In Urdu, the same tree, called drakht, is masculine. Same tree, same reality, same country, same people. Yet the grammatical gender shifts the moment the language shifts. And here is the point that exposes the entire misunderstanding. A tree cannot biologically change gender. But in Pakistan, the same speaker can call it feminine in Pashto and masculine in Urdu. Not because reality changed, but because language did. So what exactly is being confused here? The object, or the system describing the object. Because clearly grammar is not reporting nature, it is structuring speech. And here's the final strike. Even in English, you're cornered. There is no perfect word for God. Every option distorts. Every option limits. So he is used, not because it defines God, but because English has nothing better to offer. That's it. The Qur'an speaks in a language that does not reduce the divine to an object, does not force artificial neutrality, and does not confuse grammar with gender. So, the next time the question is thrown, why does it say he? The answer lands clean. It doesn't say what is being assumed. It says what that assumption cannot even comprehend. So read that again, nice and slow. Male, the default holds. Unknown, the default holds. Beyond gender entirely, the default still holds. Not because everything is male, but because the language begins there and only moves when something forces it to move. No force, no shift, no argument.